having a place where you can collaborate really was something that I thought was so important for our leaders. And how can we then pass that along to the new people coming into our industry? That is really what got me so passionate about this project.
Welcome back to Keys to Real Estate. I'm your host, Mary Schuster. Well, today we're diving into what happens when inspiration becomes action. My guest, Jaime Johnson, serves as VP and Director of WFG's Agents 3.0 program. But did you know she's also the force behind a new women's executive leadership group? Women at the Closing Table is giving women leaders a community to connect, grow, and thrive within. She says the idea was sparked at October Research's own Women's Leadership Summit, but Jaime has turned that spark into something lasting for her colleagues and female leaders from agencies, with ripple effects across her company and across the industry too. And here's the best part. WFG's is not the only one. We're seeing several women's leadership groups emerging in the title and settlement space, and their offerings complement one another. If you're looking for community, I encourage you to check them out. Try them on for size and see where you find your fit. In the meantime, let's learn more about turning ideas into a meaningful reality from the lovely, the talented, the extraordinary female leader, Ms. Jaime Johnson. The presenting sponsor for this season of Keys to Real Estate is Closing Lock. Working in title, do you ever feel like you've got a target on your back? Every year, $2 trillion moves in and out of escrow accounts in the United States. Fraudsters are watching and waiting for one wrong click, one unsecured email, just one oversight. And then just like that, your client's life savings are gone. That's where Closing Lock comes in. Closing Lock provides title companies a secure, all-in-one platform to prevent fraud, protect funds, and streamline closings. Over 1 million home sales have closed safely without incident in Closing Lock. The fraudsters only have to be right once. Title companies have to be right every time. Closing Lock has your back. Visit closinglock.com today to learn more. Jaime Johnson, welcome to Keys to Real Estate. We're so happy you're here.
Mary, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be joining you today.
Well, we have already mentioned to the audience that you are the leader of a new women's leadership group and really want to talk to you about that today. It's certainly an exciting thing that you're doing. And I wanted to start with what first sparked the idea for creating a women's leadership group within your company, right? But it's also for the benefit of agents and women outside of your company. So how did you get that fire, that spark?
Let's go back in history a little bit. I attended the very first October Research Women's in Leadership Breakfast and had not seen anything like that being done in the industry.
Right.
And I was very fortunate to get to attend the very first Women's Leadership Summit from October Research. And Mary, you've known me a very long time. And throughout my career, I've attended thousands of industry events. I've
Literally,
lost count
yes.
of how many I've been at.
Yes.
And I will tell you, the Women's Leadership Summit was unlike anything that I had seen anywhere else. We talked about things like building your support network, what a work-life balance looks like, even things like how to invest in yourself and the importance of investing in yourself, and leading others with confidence. And it was just so different than anything that I had seen, anything that anyone at the time really was talking about. And I have been so thrilled to see so many title industry specific women's groups coming. We're doing great things in this industry to support women in the industry. And so the thing that makes our group a little bit different is we really wanted to focus on the executive women, the women leaders, and give them a space where they could talk about their challenges. As women, we have to be very strong all the time, and especially in front of people who report to us. And so giving them a safe place to really be able to be vulnerable and talk about the challenges, both Personally and professionally, we're an aging industry, and that includes the women in our industry. And having a place where you can collaborate and talk about the things that you're going through really was something that I thought was so important for our leaders. And how can we then pass that along to the new people coming into our industry? And that is really what got me so passionate about this project.
I completely agree. And it's always been interesting at the thousands of conferences we've been to. We often hear the statistic about depending on how you measure, 60 to 70% female workforce in this industry. And there are a lot of opportunities for women in this industry. And so I think some of our male counterparts might look at that set of information and go, well, you guys are leading all over the place. What's different? What's unique? What's special? And I think there's also a fear that when you're participating in one of these, that it's sort of the she, man, woman haters club. And so let's talk about what are some of the unique needs of the women, and also what do you and do you not do in these groups, in your group?
We definitely are not man hating, man bashing by any means. It truly is building that support network. It's so important to have your team of people to help you achieve your goals. Again, it's not just professional, but also those personal goals that we all set for ourselves. And so we really want to encourage the members in our group and again, pass that along to our industry as a whole. Having been in the industry for quite a while, that's something that I've always really liked about the title industry is we can come together, whether you're competitors or not, and truly try to make things better for everyone involved in the industry. And that's what I see the benefit of this group is. We have people all backgrounds, all experience levels, people that were born into the industry, people like me who fell into the industry, not really knowing what the title industry was. And as we talk, as we're collaborating with each other, we've really learned that no matter where we came from, we're experiencing the same types of things. And so having other people that you can talk to, that you can talk through some of those challenges, and again, just to really surround yourself with positivity, enthusiastic people who can help support you on your journey.
Yes. Well, and I want to talk some more about that. And I also want to ask, though, as you sort of had this idea to say these events and this affiliation was so great, I would like to replicate one for my individual world, in the world at WFG and the agents you guys serve. Taking that from idea to reality, was the idea embraced? Did people get it right away, or did it take some time? And practically, what sorts of considerations did you have? Like, how did it all
Sure.
come together?
Well, I will say I am very fortunate that the WFG leadership team was very supportive. They were very open to creating this type of environment for us to bring those women executives together. I know in conversations with other women that is not always the case. And so I know how fortunate I am to have that strong support within the company that I work for. It was really interesting, the conversations that we had leading up to the event, because it truly was a mixed response. We had lots of people who were very excited about participating in an event like this. Not everyone has had an opportunity to do so previously. And it's really interesting, Mary, because there are still a lot of women in our industry who haven't heard of these women groups. So it's so important that we continue to spread the word, to get other people involved who feel like they need to find that sense of community. But there were lots of people that we spoke with who didn't really see the need for a women's group, or they didn't want to differentiate themselves from the men in our industry. They didn't want to set themselves separate from everyone else. And again, that wasn't what we were trying to accomplish. And I think that those who did end up attending the event really got a lot out of it. And I will say for me personally, I had no idea the impact that it would have on me. As much as I knew this was something that I wanted to participate in, I wanted to be involved in, when the session was done that day, I felt this is something that I need in my life. And I didn't know that I needed it. And I've had so many conversations with women who were not there, who did not get a chance to participate. And the discussion has been, oh my gosh, I need this. I didn't know I needed it, but I need something like this to be involved in. And so the need is there. Definitely, I support people finding their community wherever that is, whether it's local groups, whether it's a small support network of people that you know personally. But wherever you can find that sense of community, it is so important for all of us, not just professionally, but for the mental health as well.
Yes. And, I've been thinking a lot about this as we've been doing our work with women's leadership as well, which is very complementary to yours. It's just a working theory, but I think women are less likely to ask for help at work because we're still newer to be in the workplace. I think men have, and it's not naturally, but I don't think, but I think over time it's just become normal for a natural mentor mentee relationship to evolve between men, or men have been around long enough and generally feel less insecure. I'm sorry if I'm sounding sexist right now, in that workplace. And so it's less of a problem for them to ask for help. I think we still have to pretend to be perfect so that nobody will look up and question, should she really be there? And I think that is antiquated thinking, but I think it still is a key ingredient of why our leadership groups and our mentor mentee relationships don't form quite as organically as they can when we look over into the world of our male colleagues.
And I'll tell you, Mary, just from my personal experience, when I was coming up in the business world, not just the title industry, right, but starting my career, I was always discouraged from forming personal bonds with the people that I worked with. It was always discouraged. Keep your personal life and your professional life very separate. And I tried to do that for a lot of my career. And I have come to realize how much I have missed out by trying to keep those lines divided. And it's so important. Not a lot of people still understand what the title industry is all about. And so having those connections who understand what it is that we do every single day in our careers and being able to support us on our personal journeys as well is so complementary to each other. I can't imagine not having formed some of the relationships that I have, even just this year since starting with this women's executive leadership group.
That's very true. If I can double click on some of that a little bit and expand on that with you, because you're right. We were, and I think maybe are still taught, keep it all separate. Yes. Mm-hmm. Like you shouldn't even let people know you exist outside of the workplace.
Right.
Or when you get home, especially for women who have families, but even just in relationships, and then you think, well, I'm not going to bring my work into this because I feel a little guilty because the baseboards are dustier than they would be if I didn't need my career, which I do, and I love it and I want it. So you can get kind of siloed and fractured that way. And so, yes, you and I are having the same realizations through this, because I realized that I was so compartmentalized. I wasn't bringing my whole self to anything. And so this integration of all my lives together feels like a miracle. So I'd love to hear more from you about that. And then I had never thought about it. You said it brilliantly. We're isolated enough when we're at a cocktail party or in a Thanksgiving dinner because nobody understands what we do anyway. So then you get that secondary level of removal, and you could just sort of feel like an autonotron in your life. I'd love to hear you talk more about that.
I always like to share the story. So I have 2 adult sons who have been throughout this journey with me most of their lives. And I remember when they were little, someone asked them what their mom did for a living. And they said, well, I don't really know, but she's on the phone a lot. And that is all they knew about what I did.
Right.
To be perfectly frank, I don't know that they know a whole lot more today about exactly what it is that I do for a living. And I've been in this career since the late 90s. So still have a lot of education to do, even personally. It's really interesting. And so there are things at work that you take home with you, whether you want to or not. And having those conversations, sometimes you just need to talk it out with someone that is close to you that you trust. And having those conversations are much more challenging when it's someone who doesn't understand what it is that we do, what we're going through, some of the industry challenges that we're experiencing. And so, again, having that community, that network that understands what it's like in the trenches day to day has really just made a world of difference for me.
Yes. And another thing that you said, I really wanted to emphasize, we were taught in our day, you can either be a human or you can be a leader. And there was no talk about being a human leader. And so I've noticed in our time together with the women of your group that you really work to infuse that part. You don't have to be a robot or a Barbie or a pick your model. You really can be a human and be a great leader and find these conversations with other women leaders that, to your point earlier too, nobody's a unicorn in this, but your experience can feel very unicorned while you're segmented and sort of compartmentalized. And it sounds like you guys are really working on making things much more whole.
It's really that full relationship. It's not just work. It's really that whole picture and everything that we bring to the table. And it was really great. We had a wonderful panel discussion made up of many very successful women in our industry. And I received so many comments after the event, and they say, oh my gosh, I've admired some of these people for so many years. They're so accomplished. I'm so impressed with everything that they've done. And to hear them be vulnerable and share their challenges. And I realized those are the very same things that I have experienced throughout my career. And they said, that gives me so much encouragement to be able to get up another day and take these challenges head on and keep going. Because if there's someone like that that I admire so much that has been able to overcome those same obstacles, it gives them that fresh sense of purpose to just keep going.
Yeah, I agree. And that is very much the collaborative mutual benefit that just happens by virtue of conversations like that, whether you're the one talking about your experiences, the hard times you get over, or how to really celebrate wins. Imposter syndrome comes up anytime two or more women are meeting to talk about their careers. And so there's this beautiful synergy dynamic that you're not only giving or you're not only getting, and everybody is made better by having these conversations. And it does feel a little bit like magic. It feels like a little bit of alchemy, but it happens every time we're together like that.
And what I really like about this group is we are empowering these women leaders to take those lessons and bring them back to their offices, to share those very same things with all of the members of their staff. You know, you talked about the imposter syndrome. That's something that a lot of women in our group have voiced as something that they have dealt with or are even currently dealing with. Another challenge has been letting people have a voice, letting them be heard. So many women that I have talked to question whether or not they deserve that place at the table, whether they deserve to have their voice heard. And it can be very challenging, especially in a room full of people, to be able to be heard. And one of the best pieces of advice that I've heard given to leaders in our group is ask those members of your staff that are a little bit quieter, a little bit more hesitant, may not speak up quite as much. Before that meeting is over, say, hey, Mary, what did you think about this? Did you have anything that you would like to add?
Right.
Give them that space so that they feel that their opinion, their voice is just as important as everyone else who is there.
Yes. Well, and that is so important. And another thing that has come up within your group that I really appreciated the discussion on was when we were coming up, oftentimes we were the only female in a room. And that,
Mhm.
thankfully, is much less frequent. Honestly, kind of best case scenario then, or at least for most of my career, was hopefully the woman that got there ahead of you just won't get in your way. And I really think we owe a different experience to the generation that's coming up behind us to not, I think we can do better than just not getting in their way.
Absolutely. Traditionally, women have felt very competitive against other women. They have felt that they really have to stand out
Because
from
there's only been
peers.
like one or maybe two chairs. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I completely agree. One of my favorite things to do in the groups, not to spoil any future conversations that we were going to have, Mary, but the Women's Executive Leadership Summit was such a success that we decided we wanted to keep that going. We really wanted to keep women engaged and supporting each other no matter where they're at in the country, all throughout the US. And so we have created a women's executive leadership group. It's on Facebook, so it's easy for people to connect. It's a platform that they're familiar with. They're used to going there. They don't have to create another login and password. It's someplace that they're very familiar, and they can go in and they can share information. And one of the best things for me has been interviewing some of those members. They're quick little videos, getting to know our members a little bit better. And one of my favorite questions that so many of them have been so excited to answer is, what advice do you give to that next generation? The advice is varied, but I definitely see that women are looking at, how can we make this better? How can we improve so that people aren't facing those same challenges that we have throughout our careers? And I love to see the collaboration. I love to see women empowering each other,
Yeah.
supporting each other. And I definitely think that's going to make a big impact on our future leaders in the title industry.
And I hope you will be very proud of that when that happens, because I do think that that's something as a cohort we need to really focus on, making tomorrow better than our yesterday was for us. So is it primarily then the Facebook group? Do you have in-person get-togethers? How do people engage? For people that are interested, what should they
So
do?
I actually just have mirrored the Facebook group on LinkedIn because
Okay.
there are some people who are not using Facebook. And so I wanted to give them another platform
Yep.
that they could join
Sure.
and still benefit from the information that's being shared. Don't have dates just yet, but we are planning to have another Women's Executive Leadership Summit next year. I'm hoping it will be a little bit longer in length so that we can get even more impact for the women that are able to attend. And then we are looking at creating some member groups, especially online, whether it's a Facebook Live opportunity, some type of meetup, even Zoom calls where we can talk about certain things, have maybe a subject that we specifically want to discuss, but then open it up so that women can share. But I really think the interaction on Facebook has been very encouraging, and women are still continuing to support each other and really get to know each other better. Even those that may consider themselves competitors are willing to get on and support each other, and it's just a beautiful thing.
That's terrific. What's something that's really surprised you since you started the group? What was not in your plan or vision that has come along that was surprising?
Well, besides the fact that I shared earlier, I had no idea how much I needed this. I
Yeah.
had no idea how much other women in the industry needed something like this sense of community, how isolated some people are feeling just in their day to day life. The most impactful thing is how women are coming together to support each other. And like I said, I'm thrilled to see the different women driven groups that are coming up for our industry. And I encourage people to join, whether it's our Facebook group you want to get involved with, or any of the other phenomenal groups that are out there, get involved, participate. I share a story, and Mary, you've probably heard this before, but it's so important to invite people in. People really have a sense of isolation, not belonging, and you belong. Every woman in our industry belongs, and you need to find that place of community. And I share a story with people specific to associations and events in our industry. When I attended my very first event, I had heard some promotions. We had some new laws that were getting ready to become effective, and I, for my company, wanted to go out and learn more. I was, before joining WFG, always on the title agent side of the business. That's where I got started. And so just went there to learn a little bit about what was going on. Like so many women, I didn't know people in the industry. I had not had a chance to network outside of my little small community that within the company that I was working for. And the president of the association came up and introduced herself to me and made me feel so welcome. She encouraged me to get involved with the association. And she encouraged me to even look at some of the communities, the different committees that were part of the association. And she suggested, well, this is a really active one, and this might be a great fit for you. And I ended up getting very involved in the association. In fact, Mary, that's where we originally met many, many years ago. And I got involved in those committees. I got to network with people. And I will say my career was impacted by that chance introduction. If the president of that association at the time had not introduced herself to me, I don't know that I would be where I'm at today in this career. And so just making that space, giving people the invitation to participate is so important. And you never know what you're going to spark from that one invitation that you share.
Oh, Jamie, I love that story. And I think it was going to ring true to many people watching or listening today because, mine was similar. And I came out of the agent world too, but I was on the closing side. So even to get to go to a title meeting was, and I was like, don't say anything stupid. Like, you're a closer, just sit there. They're used to you being hysterical. So just be quiet. But I felt like I didn't belong. And I just was like, don't make any loud noises so they don't notice that you're here and kick you out, kind of thing. And Mary Rogie was president of the Kansas land title that year, title person. And she did the same thing. Hi, you're new. And I was like, oh, I'm a closer, like, just pardon my taking up air, and she did the same thing. And it was that everybody listening, whether you're a female or not, going that extra step and pulling someone in, or as we talked about in your group, pulling that next generation forward makes all the difference in the world. Don't have somebody skulking around on the periphery for 2 or 3 years or forever, not sure how to fit in or what the clicks are. It's a big, huge deal. And I love that you brought that concept forward and put it to work with this group. That's important.
It is so important. And I encourage everyone, as you said, women or not, to be involved in your organizations, your local groups, and really make an effort to introduce yourselves to anyone new or that has been around for a long time. Networking is so important.
Well, and your peers, turns out, might not be in your local market. I didn't have a lot of time to be out in my local market meeting women saying, oh, what do you do? And let's see if that matches. And the women that I did know in my market, frankly, were my competitors. So it's not like we were going to, have the luxury of being super supportive of one another so it took me getting first that state perspective, then eventually national, to find my peers. My peers are all across this country. It turns out they weren't in my small market. They just weren't.
Absolutely. And I have had the very same experience. Some of the people that have influenced me the most probably never would have met had I not expanded into those national type of events.
Well, congratulations on the success of the group. Thank you for your efforts. And yes, shout out to WFG for their support. I love the women and the companies that are bringing energy, passion, talent, money to this, because you're right. It's not a huge thing to do, but the positive ripple impacts are unmissable. So we appreciate you guys making the investment, because we're seeing the results out there in the eyes and the careers of these women that you're working with.
Thank you, Mary, for helping us to share the information with the rest of the industry and letting me have an opportunity to encourage our other industry members to be involved.
That's right. And ladies, if you don't yet have a budget, either in your company or personally, to attend a women's leadership summit, put that on your goal list for 2026. Talk to your boss about it. Talk about how it's part of career development. And it's okay to go ahead and first request and then second insist. This is such a game changer for your career, and can't recommend it enough.
Invest in yourself. I learned that at the very first Women's Leadership Summit.
That's great. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for your efforts, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Mary.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And thank you for joining us for this inspiring conversation with Jaime Johnson from WFG. Her story is proof that leadership is about creating opportunities for others to thrive, and also that when women roll up their sleeves together, everyone benefits. So if you're listening and wondering where to begin, know this: there are several women's leadership groups growing across our industry. They each bring something unique to the table. Find one that fits you, or get involved in more than one. You'll be glad you did. So to connect with Jamie, to know more, send her an email. Her address is linked in today's show notes, and we've also provided links out to WFG and to the private Facebook group for anyone wishing to join in the Women at the Closing Table group that Jamie leads. And finally, don't forget, in-person gatherings like our Women's Leadership Summit can truly be a career-changing experience. So add it to your list for 2026. It's an investment in yourself and in the future of excellence in our industry. So until next time, I'm Mary Schuster for October Research, where knowledge, not to mention investing in your leadership skills, is the competitive advantage.